capitalism. Like that's it's nothing.
I don't know what y'all talking
I
about.
gotta figure. I'm trying to figure out what are because the only description I heard of culture up here was somebody saying something about a grandmother saying or somebody daddy or something telling them, hey, go with your grandma, which I don't understand how that's culture. But can y'all give more examples of the culture that y'all are talking about?
I don't know. I don't know. Somebody can answer that.
Not you, Logic. Not you. I
That's a
already
very
know
good.
you
That's
the
a very
last
good
person I want to
question.
hear from when it comes to culture.
It's a very good question, Steve.
Because I'm trying to understand it. Because I'm like, what part of the assimilation are y'all not willing to say that y'all have already accepted? Because y'all, all I hear ever from Logic is anti-Africanism. It don't matter what the topic is. He gonna figure out how to go at Africa. I don't need no Africa. I don't need them Africans. Okay, so cool. So now I'm just trying to figure out
Thanks, Chef. Thank you, Chef.
what this conversation is about, because it's so much like left field things being discussed, and it's like, what does that have to do with culture? Musically, religiously, spiritual, like what part of culture are we discussing right now? Because
My brother
I thought Brass made it pretty clear
The
that
assimilation
most
part.
of us have
That's the part
already
we're
lost the
discussing.
majority of the culture that our ancestors came here with.
Yeah, I'm being clear with you. We're talking about the assimilation part. That's what we're talking about.
Right. If you've assimilated, then you're not sharing African culture anyway. You're practicing American culture. You're practicing the culture of the dominant force on this land, which you've been doing forever. You celebrate the holidays. You speak the same language. You practice the same religions, whether that be Christianity, Islam, whatever. Like everything about being an American is assimilation.
Right.
I don't
And the
believe it.
question
I
was,
don't believe that. I don't believe that.
hold up, Chef. Don't interrupt. He's on a roll. He's on a roll, Chef. Don't interrupt him. So the question was, can an average businessman not fit into that? Right? Can he operate like totally outside of that paradigm of being too American as a businessman?
That don't need.
Do business people exist in other countries? Like,
No, I'm talking about in America. I'm talking about in America. Like, can an American businessman?
Even in America, why would being a businessman be a part of assimilation? You can be a businessman in different countries in Africa. You can be a businessman in different countries.
You know what? I feel like I'm gonna do everybody a favor, right? See, Mujasi, I feel like this is where, this is where I feel like you would be a better person to communicate with him, because y'all have a lot more to agree upon. So he sees me as an adversary, right? That's why it's going to be attack, even if the conversation is good, right? So would you mind? Hold up. Would you mind asking him the question from this morning? I want to hear how this plays out. If you don't mind.
Brother C-Dot, how long have you been listening? I know I just seen you popping in, but how long you been listening for, my brother?
Since I got off work, maybe an hour or so.
Okay. So one of the things that, let me say, this morning, the conversation is an extension of what happened, me and Logic was talking about this morning when we first opened up the thread. And we were talking about, we first started with a question and just kind of discourse around the Black businessman, and if the Black businessman have solutions that could be put on the table for our liberation, freedom, progress, and things like that. And I think we contributed eventually to talking about the orientation and the commitment of the Black businessman to our collective struggle, and being able to define what that collective struggle. And then we start looking at identity and the process and the conflictions of assimilating what happens when a businessman owns a corporation and a business, and he's competing against an industry that may, like you said, capitalism weigh him out or try to buy him out. But the conflictions that may happen if he or she tries to hold on to that corporation for the orientation and commitment of the people. And so from there, we had, some roundabout conversation and talking about what does it mean to hold on to a sense of identity that gives us an orientation. And so we had a few different questions that brought us to this idea of the dialectical struggle and relating it to the boys' kind of concept of the double consciousness and the warring awareness and identities within us. And then from there, we were trying to process what that means with our commitment to our people and the idea of cultural identity, substantiating, supporting that versus assimilating and dissolving ourselves in capitalism, America, and the corporations and the American construct. And so we've been kind of dancing back and forth, trying to work out the language, what we're trying to say with that, and create some understanding with that. So there's a little bit of context, a pretext to what you're hearing right now that I know you've only been previewed within the last hour to see of how the conversation evolved. And so it is brought in some pieces about culture, but that's also an extension of a deviated question that happened within the last 3 or 4 hours that kind of got crossed up into that. And we're trying to also separate and have some disaggregation with that conversation. So I think what you're coming in with, there's a roundabout to it that you're only hearing just a small aspect of it, my brother. So I think that's it.
Okay, but that doesn't really answer the question of I get you, you know what I'm saying? Like I get where the conversation started off at and all that good stuff, but I'm still curious to know like exactly what culturally, because like I said, I thought Brass did a pretty good job by telling y'all like, no, like we've already assimilated the vast majority of everything we do today is an assimilation to Americanism. Like I said, the languages we speak, the religions we practice, all aspects are things that we were forced to assimilate to once we were brought to this country. The way we dress, everything, like literally, we assimilate. We wear suits. People don't that wasn't a casual wear.
But the way a black man wears a suit is a little bit different. Right. So
he
wanted to know like what was some of the cultural things that we
he puts on a 3-piece.
You wanted to know your question was
skirt, a jacket, a sports coat, and a tie. Like that's typical.
Yeah,
European.
But we put our own little spin on it. You got creolization in there too. Like subculture.
Yeah, but
like,
on the outside, it looks like it's just assimilation. You dig what I'm saying? But that is actually a merger, right? Even with the language, right? We think that we're just speaking English, but we're not.
African American vernacular. It's a creolization. Exactly. The grammar is African.
Exactly.
The grammar is not Congo. You know, even
when
you say religion,
no.
Even when you say religion, like for us, the Congo people that came from the Congo, a lot of them was already Christian before they got here, because the Congo converted to Christianity themselves. You know, so a lot of the Congolese people were already Christian before they even was transported here.
But how did they get converted to Christians?
Because they chose to trade with the Portuguese.
Exactly.
Choose to.
Also, you gotta understand a lot.
Do you know the history? Do you know the history of the Congo?
You understand a lot of Africans already converted to Islam or Christianity prior to the transatlantic slave trade.
And even the ones who wasn't, and even the ones who wasn't, Christianity wasn't forced on us, right? That's a lot of rhetoric that it was forced upon them. Like it wasn't. You could still practice what you wanted to practice. A lot of African Americans chose to practice Christianity in the early 20th century to become more American. Like that's a part that, people don't want to talk about. So even in our form of Christianity, it still doesn't
it's Africanism in it.
It still doesn't mimic mainstream white America's Christianity. It is very much, its own thing, right? Like, so, you know, it could sound like it, but if you don't believe it for the African American, just look through the Caribbean, because or the South America, because most times we can't see Africanisms in our own culture, right? Because we so ingrained in it, we think, you know, we're just copying white folk. You dig what I'm saying? So if you look through the Caribbean and South America, you'll be able to see how we blended this thing, and there's a lot of Africanism still remain in us, and I think we just forcing people to be super African, and you know what I mean, and you don't have to be. We already African. Is nothing.
How is anybody
you can't take it out
to
of
be
us.
super African?
Huh?
No,
I mean, with the
how many
outward.
times have I came up here and tried to force you to be super African?
No, not you. No, I'm not talking directly.
He just talking. Yeah, talking.
I'm not.
But even,
this is not a conversation
even
just about you.
Even in our version, even in the black church, in our version of Christianity, you see like call and response, and you know, even the shouting. You know what I'm saying? Catching the Holy Ghost. It's African stuff, for it, bro. Like, you start drumming and all that. It's African shit.
Henry Louis Gates did a good special
And
on that.
are we being a little?
I'm gonna put it in the chat for you. See that?
Are we being?
We super hard on ourselves.
Are we being a little too hard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and because you know the reason why I say that is, of course, we're going to have some assimilation, because that's just the nature of the society that we live in. We live in America, so even when Italians come here, anybody else comes here, they do have a certain amount of assimilation. So that's just to be expected, I think. I think sometimes we, you know, it's a bad thing if the African is assimilating. It's a natural thing that people do when they live around each other, and every other culture does it that come here, right?
It's a difference.
Yeah.
The difference is when those cultures come
I don't think we'll ever stop people from
here and they're able to still have a connection.
There'll always be minority groups. And
we do not, because we were not. We did not immigrate here. We were forced here. So it's a difference. It's a lot of our cultures that we do not know because it was taken away.
But
they don't have that
but
same
it doesn't matter
situation.
it doesn't matter how we got here. The fact is that we are here, and once we are here, are doing what other people do in nature and naturally. They assimilate.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. If
and everybody else acknowledges
it. For people who
everybody else acknowledges it though. Do y'all know that?
It doesn't matter.
But everybody else acknowledges
it
does matter. It matters a lot. Like what are we talking about here?
If we would have came here on our own, we still would have assimilation.
Assimilation.
It doesn't matter how we got here.
Yeah, you had it on the continent. Even for instance, all throughout the Spanish regime, you know, in the 1500s, like even in the in the country of Suriname, we had the biggest maroon population of South America. Suriname, they assimilated with Native Americans and had their own community, like because of you know they ain't from here, so they assimilated their Native American cultures on their own. That's just human contact, bro. Look at
you see the Native American. You see the Native American wears immigrating. Hold on, everybody's seen the pictures of the Native American wearing a suit jacket, right? And then they'll have their own type of tie on with one of their medallion pieces, right, with the 2 strings as their tie. So it's an assimilation. You got the European suit jacket, right? You have a European button-up shirt, but their tie is a Native American symbol. You know what I mean? I'm gonna put a picture in it. Everybody does it. You feel me? Everybody does it.
What I'm saying is, right? So are you trying to work towards full assimilation, or are you trying to actually learn and regather your culture that you came from? Which one is the goal?
Our culture is what we developed here. Our culture is what we developed here. We are a unique people. Once we got off those boats, we are our own people. There's no going back.
Yeah, absolutely. We've created our own culture. Going back, like I said earlier, remember what your grandmama said. That's where you can go back to.
Yeah,
Go back to
and part of the culture.
What's our distinct culture?
Part of the culture.
Go back to the black church, bro.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
And part of the culture that's Niger Congo is still within us. It's still assimilated in. It didn't go nowhere. It's still in there.
No, it didn't, bro. Why you keep saying that? Like you keep saying like it didn't just transfer into us, bro. Like that's not what happened. We didn't have we weren't fortunate enough to be able to have all of our grandmother, greats and all of that other stuff pass down information. Why? Because they were part of a slave trade. They were actually part of a system.
It didn't have to be. It didn't have to be traded by your grandparents. You still had children, men, you still had older Africans around.
How would you possibly?
Your grandparents like that. It did. Some of the African traditions is. I got a book called Africanism in America.
Well, I'm not talking about your book. If you actually let somebody finish talking, we wouldn't have no issue.
I'm just saying some of the Africanisms is still in there, bro. Like
I ain't talking about some or nothing, bro. I'm talking about period.
Just like
point blank. And what the young lady just said is that we already have stuff here. So basically, the ultimate goal is to try to assimilate because we got people
that's the ultimate goal, though.
One mic.
And that's not what I said. I said the ultimate goal for us is to be ourselves, and ourselves is not where we came from. That's not it. We are our own separate tribe. So it's where we are is what it is. So what we do as Black people here in America, we have our own way of doing things. I'm not sure how that's not being understood.
Hey, listen. When I tell you it's a white supremacist right now,
I'm talking about
lighting the motherfucking cigar saying "Job well done."
Job well done.
What are we talking
like?
No, hey, Brad, that's not fair.
Black people ain't got the right to identify as their own.
I can't even participate in this argument.
It sounds like we're not staying in reality. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
When we got here, you can't expect us to be acting the same way as our ancestors did there when we were enslaved. There's no way.
I expect you to act like the white folks that took you, which is not what we're saying right now. We're saying that it's cool for us to assimilate, but it's also cool for us to push away all of that African culture over there. We don't need none of that. We just need to assimilate further into Americanism. And that is the most white supremacy shit I ever heard.
You missed some of the conversation earlier when we were talking about there is no way that African Americans here that we still don't have some remnants of what our ancestors had. So we are not identical to Caucasian people, just like an Italian is not identical to a Spaniard or whatever. All parts of Americans here are different. We are Americans.
She cooking.
You understand what I'm saying?
She cooking something.
Or like a Sicilian American. A Sicilian American. A Sicilian American is not the same as a Sicilian in Sicily. This is different. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody's making that point. You're the only one saying that.
So why don't you say? Why don't you tell us what you think? Why don't you tell us what you think?
Just let them. Y'all want to be white people so bad. Just let them.
If you can envision it, tell us what you think we should be like right now.
What
do you think we should be?
I'm gonna start calling y'all
connected to the people you come from.
No, I mean you trying to say like niggas is talking like
y'all
never been
niggas
colonized ever.
So y'all niggas' name is cheddar cheese from now on. It's gonna be a cracker.
No, France, you are exaggerating.
But y'all kicking white supremacist propaganda right now. Y'all don't even know.
We're not, white supremacy.
Yes, you are. You should go study white supremacy. Because you sound just like go study white supremacy.
We're not saying that we're white, or we're not saying that we're something. I don't know what
you wish you was.
Go study.
No.
You might not be white, but you damn sure wish you was. Can
I say this? Listen. Let me say this.
Hey,
hold on. Let me get this out. All right. Now, everything that we do, you see a difference in it, right? And you have the black church, right? And then look at the organizations that we started. Look at some of the first churches we started, right? The AME, right? And those different things. How can y'all? We're not going to be able to keep everything from Africa, right? But I think we kept the most important things, the things that was able to push us forward, right? In this society. And certain things that was African that wasn't going to do us wasn't going to help us here. It's a whole different situation. Yep. And those things fell off naturally. The things that we kept was the things that could serve us in this society, right? It blended well. Just look, even if you look at the Nation of Islam, right? The Nation of Islam don't follow regular Islam. It's its own thing. It's African Americans creating their own thing. The black church, the Moorish Science Temple, you know, all of these things are ways that Africans created new things out of out of retaining old shit and adding new shit to it that we picked up here. Our culinary practices, all of that stuff. How can we don't cook like white folk. Our culinary practices, you know what I mean? Like the black people, even the way that we cook our rice, we brought that shit from Africa with us. You feel me?
Whole different cuisine.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me say something real quick. Yep. So let me ask you a question. I'm tripping the fuck out on y'all. So we're celebrating AAVE slang while they took our own language away. Y'all saying everything that we brought we didn't need. They took our name, our identity, our land, and our language. So we don't need the land. There's such thing as no AAV slang. It's AAV. I'm still talking. So we don't need our name. We don't need our identity. We don't need our language. We don't need our spiritual systems, and we don't need our land. So I just named 5 things that y'all saying. Hold on. All I hear is motherfucking our rice and our culture and all this other bullshit. But we steady complaining. Hold on. I didn't interrupt y'all. To hide the women took y'all, bro. I didn't interrupt y'all getting close to the cracker. All I'm gonna say is this.
Oh my God.
All I'm gonna say is this.
Yeah, you don't read no books.
I'm still talking, bro. You always trying to insult somebody's fucking intelligence, bro. You act like you the only nigga that read.
But you lack it.
You ain't the only nigga that read. You ain't gotta come in here. You read. Hush, nigga. You come in this bitch every time talking about y'all niggas don't read. Don't come in here if you don't read. My point is this. Y'all just named the things that we took. What I'm saying to y'all is I just named 5 things that we couldn't have possibly taken that right now we might need. Land, language, name, identity. So y'all tell me now that we don't need that land that they took and that we don't need the language. Go ahead and say that. And then if that's how y'all truly feel and y'all happy with fucking how we wear 3-piece suits.
You didn't have the land when you was over there.
Yeah, what land did they take from you, bro?
Oh, man. All right, okay. Y'all got it, bro. Y'all got it, bro. Y'all got it, bro.
All those things that you're talking about fall under reparations. We are owed all those things that was stolen from us. All the trauma and everything.
Just wait till they give it to you, bro.
Just wait till they read about history, nigga. That's what I'm talking about.
Grass, I'm surprised at you, Grass.
Yeah, I don't give a good goddamn what you surprised at.
I know.
Oh, yeah, okay. Because I would never.
Yeah, you read books, but you don't read
respect
books on this particular subject matter. That's what I'm talking about.
Man.
Hey. The sister at Brass yesterday, right? You was reprimanding me. You reprimanded me like 5 times for interrupting the sister. Right.
You're right. You're correct. You are correct.
She was on your side.
You're correct. You are correct. I'm being a hypocrite. I'm being a hypocrite right now. I fully admit it. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's why I need to stop talking, because once I get upset, all the rules go out the window, and the rules still apply to me. So y'all
okay, because me and her ain't gonna be on the same side tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
You're probably right.
Yeah, I already. As soon as I get up, all the rules go out the window, and that
You're
ain't
in the right car today, but tomorrow she's gonna be riding with Brass. You know what I mean?
No, but I do want to get to the root of this. How come people don't understand that we are our own sort of creation here? I don't understand why people don't get that part.
I accept that, but it wasn't by choice.
Well, yeah, it wasn't by choice. I said that earlier.
Yeah, right. And let me ask you a question. Why wasn't it by choice? What happened that made it not by choice?
You talking about slavery?
The transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah, yes. So we understand that. But what I'm saying is that through everything that we've been through, we are a changed people. That's just what it is. And so, we can't go back. We can't be whitey. It's just like I said, you have to think about it like other people anywhere on the planet that start living amongst other people and stuff. There is going to be some assimilation. Yes, came here by force and all of that stuff. Yes, that's true. But even if you came here on your own, like Jamaicans do, other Africans, whoever else come here, there still is assimilation.
If you listen to Haskell, they assimilated to us. Like we assimilated them. They assimilated to white culture. We assimilated them to black culture.
You can't even look at it like that though, bro, because they assimilated to whoever they got sent to too. They also got sent to. They got assimilated to their colonization too. At the same time, we just a piece, a branch of the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? Just we just want some special motherfucker. Shit, what slavery just in the United States?
Can I add to the conversation? I've been listening and I've been hearing people saying about I can't speak for Black Americans. I'm speaking for Jamaicans. Jamaican, I'm still considered a Jamaican. But if I had a child here, that child is no longer considered a Jamaican to Jamaicans in Jamaica. Because that child does not have the shared experience of the Jamaicans in Jamaica. No, there's a big quarrel between first and second generation Jamaicans in America and native Jamaicans. Because the ones in America are now feeling that they're being deprived of a culture that they look forward to. No, Black people, when I say Black people, I'm not talking about Africans in general. I'm talking about those with the transatlantic slave experience have been deprived of many things. No, we don't want to feel less than. So as a result of not feeling less than, we oftentimes shock those things and consider themselves less, that we got something better. So we no longer have our language, but we have English. And we may have bastardized it in certain ways to give it our own trend. And we're saying that it is now better than what we had before. We don't have our same cultural dress style. We don't have many of the things that we lost. But many persons know, in order not to feel deprived over generations, start to see that it was better for us, that the culture that we survived in didn't need those things. But other people still carry the language with them. Even if they're not fluent in it, they still romanticize their language. I'm talking about the Italian, the French, the German. They still carry certain concepts that they had from the motherland and the mother tongue. They don't shuck it aside like we readily do. No,
they have all throughout the diaspora. I wouldn't call it bastardization, though. It's a creolization.
Same thing.
Because there ain't no perfect English. It's different English dialects. There ain't no perfect English.
Oh God.
English is English, bro.
We creolize it then, since you want that word.
Just try to carry on.
I know. Because you go to England, just try to carry on. Different dialects.
No one know where you're coming from, Brass. No one know where you're coming from. No one know where you're coming from. Right? No one know where you're coming from. But this is what I'm saying. We lost so much as a people that would pick, we were forced to grab different parts to fill those holes that we have to develop a culture that we could maintain. But it don't make it any better. The culture is a culture that is pulled from many different people, and primarily it comes from white people. Now, if Sheffield don't want to agree that most of the black culture that we have come from white people, we might play the instrument that we play now is primarily their instrument. We might put our music to it, but the instrument affected how the music come out. The poetry that we speak now is a result of their influence from their language. Right? If you say white people are the greatest people in the world, then white people is the greatest contribution to black culture.
Man, you sound crazy as hell. I don't know the hell. I don't know where you come from.
Why don't we use the language? Don't we use them instrument? Don't we dress in the clothes?
Yeah,
so who have the greatest influence in black culture?
You just talking.
Who have the greatest influence on black culture? Who have the greatest influence on black culture?
Black American
White people. White people.
Damn, Chef was crazy. That Stu Peas was cooking all day. I blame this shit on Chef.
White people. So you feel good. You feel good as a melanated man to walk around with white culture. Primarily white culture.
Fuck that shit.
You crazy. Everybody's damn planet is melanated. Ain't no such word as melanated.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because guess what? You know what I realize?
I don't know what the fuck you mean.
You know what I realized with you? You have never had an original thought.
I don't know what you mean.
You have never had an original thought. Let me finish speaking. You have never had an original thought.
I don't talk like Hidden Colors. I don't talk like Hidden Colors.
You have never had an original thought in this Discord. You've always piggybacked and jumped on somebody else's thing. You have never had an original thought. Of course you. That's why Brass had to stop her. You have never had. I'm waiting on the day when you have an original thought. You have never had an original thought. You have always jumped on other people's things. Yeah. What?
Move on. This shit's pointless. This shit evolve. We have to devolve stage. Let's get back to
you basically say the exact same thing I said, Stupid. That this whole thing is like I don't understand how we not connecting the two together and understanding that it's important for us to want to like not only learn more about African culture,
niggas be glazing there.
Practice. Like it's not what is glazing about wanting to know about the culture that you came from instead of sitting up here.
I ain't talking about
celebrating except the one that you in right now. That's the weird shit.
Who you talking about?
The part that like you call wanting to learn African culture glazing.
What the fuck I'm talking about, nigga?
No, I'm asking you a question, nigga. Who the fuck you talking about? Hold on,
man. Fuck you. Fuck you. Y'all. Fuck you, fat ass nigga.
What the fuck you ain't here for? Fuck, nigga.
Oh shit.
God, what weird, man.
Now I know what that shit is. That's that fake ass shit. That shit fake as fuck. Every time a nigga talk, what I read, the goddamn it, what you saying can't be true. Cause what I read, shut the fuck up. Dang, you can't have a conversation without fucking quoting some goddamn. Well, in this book on page such and such, goddamn, have a thought. We having a conversation. Oh, nobody in this bitch should be telling nobody else they wrong. Oh, you wrong. What I'm saying is right though. Sound like them other niggas. Ah, damn. My fault, bro. I'm going on mute.
No, man, don't go on mute. Don't go on mute,
bro. Like I don't understand the issue with wanting to know the culture you come from more so than just assimilating to the culture that you're in. Like I don't understand that way of thought. I think that it's important for us to not only learn the cultures but accept. You know what I'm saying? That there are other parts of our cultures. Like I said, my culture ain't the same. It's Stupid's culture. Like we speak two different dialects of English, like we was just talking about. But at the same time, his struggle is part of my struggle. His people, the people that he come from, had similar struggles to the people that I came from. But at the same time, we both had to assimilate
and use the tools of the white man.
And we
use
the
tools of the white man. All of us as black people
to take
use
away
the
ours.
tools of
So I don't understand why it's bad for us to want to learn our culture that was taken away from us. It makes no sense to me. That doesn't take away the reality of me living in America and having to be in capitalism and practice capitalism while I'm in capitalism. It doesn't take away that reality. All it does is give me insight to the culture I come from, my ancestors came from. Just like Irish people can do it, Germans can do it, all these other different cultures can do it. We the only ones that were stripped of ours. Now we have the opportunity to learn it, to relearn what was taken.
We've been learning it? You don't think we've had people in our past, leaders and stuff, and different folks that have been teaching us about where we came from? You don't think we've been doing that already?
Yes. That's what I don't understand about why would you want to stop that and say, well, no, we don't need to know nothing. We done with the African stuff. We don't need to know nothing else.
Who said that?
Don't know nothing as it is. Like if I ask you anything about Africa right now or African culture, you wouldn't be able to tell it to me because you never learned it.
They're missing some of the points that were made because the conversation has been hours long. So I think because we went over all this already, different people have different opinions. I think one person said we don't need African people. Other people said we don't need to be bogged down with more African culture because we have our own thing going on here. Other people may feel that we do need it. But nobody is saying that African Americans have not took time to study where we came from and the cultures and stuff. That's like the whole thing with African American studies. We have like a whole thing here in this country where we've been doing it.
Baby girl, you oversimplifying it.
I'm sorry. African American studies.
You're oversimplifying it. You're oversimplifying it.
When we literally have had leaders and people in our community that have taught us about where we come from. Now, whether or not some African Americans want to take hold to that, that's a different thing. But you can't just say that we haven't been studying where we came from. That's
can you teach about African culture?
Dr. Ben taught y'all where y'all came from, right?
Well, come on now.
No, you said we got people that taught it.
I'm not talking about people in the conscious community. That's not
who are you talking about.
So what people taught you about your culture? You in particular.
Like your experience. What was your experience? I'm curious.
I learned different things about African people and our coming over here and all that stuff like that. You have different people talking about that. W.D. Du Bois. You have different people that speak to these things. So it's
what have you learned? That was the question. What have you learned?
We learned it in school.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm confused by what you guys are talking about.
What African culture did we learn in school?
We came from
what African culture we learned in school?
I learned that we came from Africa in school. And I learned
but that's not African culture.
West African nations, right? And they named some of the tribes. But other than that, what the fuck do y'all want?
But that African culture, like we just talked about what culture is.
You're
right?
not in Africa.
You understand what culture is, right?
You mean
that would be language. That would be
spiritual.
I'm saying it would be spirituality. It would be it's a numerous amount of things that have to do with culture. So what culture? What African culture was taught in school?
It's multiple cultures. Even if you say that you're gonna be amalgamating different cultures together, it ain't just one culture.
Right.
What African cultures were taught in school?
Are you asking the question, what African culture did the cracker teach us about in his elementary school? The answer would probably be slim to none. However, we do live in a society.
Swahili. They taught us about Swahili.
Oh, man,
they taught us certain Swahili words. We practiced Kwanzaa. Like all that, we did all that in school, but outside of that, what the fuck do you want?
Yeah,
outside. My teachers taught us stuff though.
Kwanzaa ain't come from Africa. That came from an African American brother. That ain't come from Africa. That's not an African. That's not. That's
the African American brother using African concepts and culture to create Kwanzaa. Did he go back into Africa and bring those concepts forward for us to have pieces of African culture?
Yeah. Did you study Kwanzaa?
Yeah, because the word Kwanzaa don't come from America. The word Kwanzaa comes from Swahili.
Did you study? Did y'all practice Kwanzaa?
Yes, we practice Kwanzaa.
Y'all do?
Yeah. Yeah, my family
in school, even our white teachers. We had white teachers that helped us practice Kwanzaa. Yeah,
and I had a lot of a lot of my aunts and older people in my family were like voodoo practitioners and shit. So I had African culture in my family, bro. Even
nobody ever tried to hide it from me, brother. There's some conscious community shit to think that somebody tried to deliberately keep African culture away from you. That never happened to you.
Exactly, right.
You've been radicalized by Dr. Ben, trust me.
Bruh, the only part of African culture that either of y'all brought up just now was Kwanzaa, which shows me, and it's still. I'm just saying that's literally the only thing that you brought up so far. And everything else that was that about African culture was taught to you that was made out to be the boogeyman for most black people.
No, they never taught me in school that Africa was the boogeyman.
Voodoo.
I'm 46 years old, and
they ain't teach you voodoo.
I'm probably older than you, and they never taught me no crazy shit like that.
Yeah, they don't teach you that at school. They never told you that church.
So I have a question for you. What African culture do you know, and that are applying it where it's being beneficial to your life today? Tell me that.
What African culture do I know and that I've been applying it to my life today?
Or have you studied that's benefited you in a meaningful way?
Pan-Africanism.
Yeah, you sound crazy.
Changed my entire life.
That was the craziest response. After all that in-depth shit you asked us, you said Pan-African.
Yes, Pan-Africanism changed my entire lens on not only my life, but the lives of the people around.
Changed my life.
But I can literally pinpoint certain African cultures in our culture. Like, can you do that? Like, do you even know African cultures? Like,
do you?
Like, that ain't they go broad. Yes, I do. I was raised in it. I was fucking initiated in fucking Santeria and fucking voodoo and shit. All that shit, bro. In my family, intertwined and infused with the Christianity shit too. Synchronized.
Hello? That's the important part.
Can you hear me? Shit, I got Gullah Geechee people in my family, nigga. Like, that's shit. You don't get no African in fucking that.
Yeah, but your whole, I mean, from what you were saying, like, you don't want none of that.
No,
like,
you don't know. That ain't what I said. You are stop. No, you're mixing my you're mixing my arguments with other shit. And you don't understand nuance. You have like a narrow free mind because you used to be on Sinetta and all them nigga shows. This ain't that.
I'm not on Sinetta show. That's what I'm saying. Like you coming off real defensive. You know what I'm saying? Like you like every time I say something, it seems like you get real defensive.
Because I don't think you know a lot about African culture. I think you know you generalize and you romanticize African culture.
Well, Gullah, I wanted
how would I
elaborate.
Romanticize something I don't know?
I wanted you to elaborate on how Pan-Africanism is. Like, could you elaborate on that a little bit? How it's been
how it changed my life and changed my concepts of people around me.
Oh, it's been
beneficial. How it's been beneficial. Yeah.
In a meaningful way.
In a beneficial way. I've explained this before about how it changed my concept or my perception of my people in general. I came up wanting to harm other people that look like me. And Pan-Africanism changed that concept of the way I looked at my people. So without that, then I would probably still view my people the way I did previously, which is in a very, very negative light. It also enforced me to be a better father to my children, to be a better husband to my wife, try to be a better son to my mom and my dad.
I ain't need Africa for that. Like, that's crazy.
No. I said it's Pan-Africanism. The ideology is about. Go ahead. Ask your question. Go ahead.
You had mentors and grown-ups and elders in your family and community who could have gave you all of that. Why the hell would I be looking for something? Why the hell would I use Africanism?
Like, I think it's because of the fact that you come from a
black
different background.
Black people is just. I'm just saying. From my perspective, I respect the black people, elders in my family and in my community that gave me my morals and taught me how to be a decent human being versus me having to go to a whole ideology. Like, I don't have competent black African Americans around me teaching me this shit.
But
like,
you're not talking about.
crazy.
You're not
Like,
talking about. You keep saying shit, but you're talking
I'm
about
just
you,
talking
Chef.
about
Why are you
everything
talking
that
about
we
you?
need.
Do you know me, Chef?
I'm talking
Chef,
about
do you know
all
me?
of us.
Chef,
I'm
do you
talking
know
about.
me?
Listen, I'm
Nigga,
talking
do
about.
you
No, I
know
don't
me?
know
Stop
you.
telling me about you, and
No,
you talking
no,
about your references and who you had to look up to and all that other
I
shit,
think,
and you don't know me.
African Americans.
So we different. So therefore, stop comparing your little weak ass life to my life.
We
It's
not
different.
different. You're bullshitting. You dig what I'm saying?
Bro, do you know me?
You had people around.
Do you know me? Do you know me?
I guarantee you had people, African Americans around you who could have taught you all of that shit. You chose not to listen to them. You chose not to listen to them, and you chose to get radicalized by some motherfucking Pan-Africans and some Hebrew
What is radical? What is radical Pan-Africanism? What is that? Explain that. Break it down.
Who had to teach you how to be a good son or a good father, or
that's radical Pan-Africanism. If that's radical Pan-Africanism, then it seems like a majority of black people in this country need to be practicing.
Gotta be.
If that's what it did, exactly. So why the fuck you keep talking about it in a negative light?
African Americans,
African
Americans already got all of that. I'm saying
everybody ain't come up with a silver spoon in their mouth like you, Chef. Everybody wasn't over there sitting with their mama and their daddy and sitting at the table every day and saying grace and shit. Everybody ain't come up like you, my G. So stop comparing everybody else, especially the majority of people, because the majority of the people I know ain't like the majority of the people that you know. The majority of the people that you know might have been great uplifting people. The people that I grew up knowing was totally different, my G.
I don't live in Beverly Hills,
you
brother.
To everybody else.
I don't live in Beverly Hills.
Where you live. I didn't ask you where you live. I just said stop comparing me to you.
Oh my God.
That's all I said.
This is crazy.
It
is crazy. You keep trying to compare.
That's why he ain't learning how to be a good son. He don't know how to listen right now.
I ain't gotta listen to you, nigga. What you talking about? You ain't gonna listen the whole damn time.
Earlier we had a lesson about baking cakes and how you can't unbake.
Over tacky ass nigga.
I think they remember that.
I've been weird in the comment. Who coming?
Yeah, niggas be
okay.
goofy,
I was before you comment.
Weirdo.
I just want to say, see that that's not exactly what I was asking you. But go ahead.
All right. I want to ask everybody: did they read Things Fall Apart?
Nigga, talking about weirdo. These niggas wearing
I read it.
costumes.
Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Great book.
Weirdo nigga.
Yeah, dope book.
In America, and just that novel itself, done. I don't want to talk because that's a big novel. Everybody should have read that in high school.
Everybody should have read that. I agree. Chinua Achebe.
High school or college, and it's all about the destruction of African culture and their attempts to preserve it and identity. Well, if you know the team, you know the team. So the other thing I did want to ask also, is it was funny. I heard somebody talking about the creolization of language, and then they mentioned all the European languages, which are Creole languages from Latin, called the Romantic language. Even the German used the Latin script to write down their dialects. So it's the same thing going on now. Remember, the West Africans didn't have no script, and they didn't write things down unless they were Arabized.
Yeah.
So
Yes, it's Arabic.
Arab,
Yeah.
and most of the people that did have the script is written in some type of syncretic or some Creole Arab script, because they didn't have a script. When you don't have a script, it's easier for your culture to last. It's easier for you to have no element of your poetry. Even when you say the word griot, that's a French word. That's not an African word for what those people were. So it's like people make assumptions and comparisons when I don't think they really understand the implications of what they talk about. And I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
So if griot is a French word, what's the significance of saying that?
They don't have a script.
No. Griot is spoken. It's about the retention of a spoke.
When you don't have a script, like the Gauls didn't have a script, right?
I get it, but saying that griot is a French word, what is the implication of saying that?
The implication
I'm trying
is
to connect what you're saying.
And they adopted the script of the conqueror to creolize and to express them on selves.
So you're saying that Africans, their own tradition. Listen,
it happens in these contexts.
All right, so African,
don't give credence to the Romantic language, like those are like
no, I get that part, but the French sing Africans oral tradition, and the people who was the oral reciters in those African cultures, right? So what I'm saying is those African people must have had a word for those people. It might not have been griot, but they had a word, and that was already a custom of theirs.
Jalia. It was Jalia.
Right. So saying griot is a French word, like Europeans created griots, or I don't understand why you said that. Like
the Europeans created griots. I'm telling you that even when he said that word, that's still Arabicization. I'm talking about how when you don't have a script and people come and conquer you that have a script, you have to adopt that script in some format in order to even express yourself. Because you didn't have no script. You had language, but you didn't have no way to literate.
The griots didn't need the French. They was doing that way before they even came in contact.
They needed the French. What did you saying? I said they needed the French.
Yeah, and Jela is not that ain't Arabic, bro. That's Mindi. It comes straight out of Mindi language. They might have wrote it in Arabic, but it come from their tongue.
Why are these stories in Arabic, French, and all conquering languages? What is the script of the original language that the story is written in? Come give it to me, because you can't.
It's oral. It's oral.
And that's what I'm trying to express to you. Oral people are illiterate. And it's easy to wipe out the oral tradition because the oral tradition is always updated. The oral tradition is not a solid tradition. It's always updated to reflect the new king.
You don't have to write traditions down the whole tradition up.
Oral traditions change and switch around the country. Even the Sundiata narrative in its original form changed once they get more Muslimized. They start using more Muslim words. The names change and not the narrative. And the way the story is told. I can prove this. So why?
I don't understand what you're proving. Like what?
Yeah, I don't understand what you arguing. Ain't nobody arguing.
Right.
Yeah, man, for think that. Why do you think literate cultures conquer illiterate cultures? Where has the oral tradition defeated the literary power? What the fuck are we doing here? This is more romanticizing. It's easy to wipe out the oral tradition. Kill the niggas that know the oral tradition. Then what you know about your history?
You know what? I got into an argument yesterday like this, right? When somebody come in with another point, and then just because you was already arguing, you take on that argument, and it's like you don't supposed to take on arguments that's not germane to your
on tradition.
I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point that you're making, but you're saying it in an argumentative tone, like we was actually disputing that. We never even. You feel me?
What was the point of mentioning the griot?
Yeah.
You're saying why people get the griot, and I'm like, no, I'm just talking about the creolization of language from when you're not literate and you have to take on a script, and you didn't have a script before. So why is it wrong for Black people and Jamaican people to take on this script?
But it's not always true that a literate culture always conquers the illiterate. That's a false historical statement. What about the Mongol Empire? The Mongols wasn't literate. They conquered a whole lot of shit.
What script were you supposed to do?
They wasn't literate people when they conquered a lot of shit. You just said only literate cultures conquer illiterate cultures. That ain't true.
I think he was saying when they conquer illiterate cultures, they culture usually take over.
The Greeks were illiterate.
You know what I'm saying? When the Mongols took over, anybody take over they shit.
Once he realized he was ignorant, all he did was promote education and educate people and allow schools. What are you talking about? You never studied the Mongol Empire. He wouldn't even been able to succeed if he didn't allow religious and orthodox and all.
Exactly. That ain't my point, bro. I'm just saying that the Mongols wasn't originally literate people, but they was the ruler.
Why you think even Marco Polo, and Mandela travel over there? Come on, man. I'm the wrong nigga to talk about with this black idiocy where you got
you
this bias.
You just want to argue with somebody, bro. You must have had to argue with somebody earlier. You try to put your frustration on this panel. Ain't nobody arguing none of that shit you saying, bro. You just want to argue with something.
You say, B, you want to have a debate about the Mongol Empire and how much they depended on the intellectualism?
Bro, man, sit down, bro.
That's far away from what we was talking about.
Blow the blunt up. You wasting your time with me, bro. Like, ain't nobody trying to debate none of that weird ass shit.
But no fucking illiterate people run and manage no goddamn empire. It's crazy. You believe that?
Right. Get us back.
So none of the West African empires existed. The Oyo Empire didn't exist. They didn't read
chasing it. Y'all asking for it.
They were illiterate. The Latins were illiterate. All these people are illiterate. You're right.
Yeah, at that time period. Yeah, at that time period. That ain't always the case. With human warfare and shit and conquering, it ain't always the case.
Crazy, man.
All right, but you're right. We getting even further and further away from the conversation.
Yeah, we always motherfucking Mongols and illiterate, and who's illiterate. I think he had a point that he was making about the assimilation. He started off
about the language.
Chinua Achebe's award-winning book, Things Fall Apart. And in that book, he was talking about how they slowly started to lose their culture. So I think that was his point initially, and then we started arguing about something else like griot and French and some shit. So I don't know. He might help us get back on point with his point about things fall apart, because that's germane to what we was talking about.
Of language, B, how you had people that didn't have a script and they kept bringing out an Arabic script, which again is creolization, if you know about syncretism and culture, because they're using a foreign script, so they didn't have a fucking script. What's wrong with saying that? These people had an oral tradition. They didn't write. So, of course, when they start writing, they're going to use the script that's available to them, and you're going to have Creole languages. It's the same thing that happened with the goddamn romantic languages that's run in Europe. And the same thing that's happening now. within our black language. So why look at it negative when that's what happens? It's a natural pattern.
Who's looking at it negative? Who are you arguing with? Who's saying this?
Well, I guess maybe that might connect to the conversation we were having where people was just speaking about assimilation being completely negative, right?
Oh, I ain't say that. I just said that ain't no argument point.
That was before you got in. That was before you got in.
Like, that's how this conversation got sidetracked, because that's what was talked about from the jump start. I don't know what Brad would just be coming on here mad and shit, but it was talking about how fully assimilating compared to actually wanting to know more about African culture or appreciating African culture. In which direction people should be going in as far as African Americans. That's what I thought the conversation
right.
was.
That is what it was about. It was about the dilemma of assimilating, right? When you assimilate, see, like we kind of have a premise that is so unnatural and disruptive that you're unable to maintain, I guess any usable amount of your previous I guess cultures and things like that, right? That was a little bit more how we even got to the part where we were talking about the book.
Yes,
so yeah,
I mean,
like I said earlier, I think everything we needed from Africa, we already got it from Africa.
And I disagree completely.
That's how I feel, Corey. I think we retained the things that, were valuable for us here, and we relinquished the things that wasn't valuable to us, and we don't even recognize the things that we kept. You dig what I'm saying? Because is blanketed with over top of American culture, blanketed over top of it. You dig what I'm saying? So
it sound a little bit like y'all leaning into it so hard that you're almost not acknowledging that we were disrupted at all. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it kind of sounds like that.
We weren't disrupted, but we gotta have our, because listen, it wasn't one group of Africans that got captured off the continent. There's different groups of Africans that got captured off the continent. So in order for us to identify together, we have to come up with our own shit, bro. And I think that's what we doing. Like, bro, y'all think we've been free for thousands of years, bro? I mean, really, all in all, it's barely been 60, 80 years.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I mean, what else? How long ago? Listen, I think like I said, I think we retain the things that's important to retain. Everything we needed from Africa, we got it already. Now we got to continue on what our immediate ancestors was doing. They gave us a culture. Grandmama and them left us a culture behind. You niggas just don't go to church no more.
What the fuck is it? Africa. I'm trying to figure that. They haven't told us yet. Are we walking around bumbling fucking idiots or something?
And then some of the cultures in Africa we came from was warring tribes, and they didn't even fuck with each other. Certain aspects of these other cultures, like
and some of that shit we needed to discard.
Yeah,
some
I don't
of the
think
shit.
Just like for instance, the Igbo looked at twins as a bad omen, so they'll sacrifice one of the twins. Yoruba people embrace twinnage and people having twins. They embrace, but the Igbos didn't. So which one would you choose?
So look at this, right? I think our forced forcing us over here made us greater fucking Africans, right? Because if you think about it, right, we have a more cohesive Hold on. Listen.
Man, we the greatest sub-Saharan descendants ever, man.
Right.
We have said greatest Africans.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
If I get it out, y'all will understand what I'm saying.
My bad.
Right?
My bad.
And then check this out. Africa, right? West Africa is hundreds of different cultures and dialects. They couldn't see eye to eye. You go 5 miles up the river, the culture changed, language changed, custom changed, right? These people see themselves as uniquely different from each other. What happened over here, we were forced together. We have solidarity, right? One language and solidarity over here that they don't have over there.
What solidarity?
Nigga, we all agree that we fucking African American over this bitch. We all agree.
No, we
yes,
don't.
we do. Yes, we do. We're way more cohesive. We're way more of a cohesive group.
You got a ridiculous
bro,
amount of
stop,
right now.
That shit is fringe, bro. That's fringe. That's fringe shit.
We're a way more cohesive group than the splintered group of Africans that we came from. This shit that we went through, forged a whole group of people to be one people. You don't have that shit in Africa. That's why Africa fucked up the way it is.
Saying that like it's like we are unified.
Nigga, that's a good
in America.
thing.
No, we not.
That's a good thing.
Bro,
that's a
like,
good thing.
We are literally
give African Americans our fucking credit. Give
you live in a bubble, my G. You got to get outside of Baltimore wherever you at, my G. Because you live in a bubble,
got some shit that they don't have over there.
You tripping.
We a voting block, bro.
Nigga, you talking like we unified over here. Nigga, ain't nobody on the West Coast. If I go to LA right now, they is not on the same shit you talking about.
Bro, we are unified.
You not on the same thing that I'm talking about down here in Atlanta.
That we don't.
I'm not on the same thing that old boy talking about wherever he at. Like nobody is on the same page over here. So why are you trying to get that narrative that all black people are just on the same page here?
We are.
Oh, we connected.
He is on the same page.
You don't
get politically on the
same. You living in a fantasy world.
Yeah, you live in a bro. Human nature won't even allow motherfuckers to be that damn unified the way you dreaming of. Like you fucking.
Yeah. I'm dreaming I don't know what you're talking about. I'm dreaming because I ain't saying nothing about
tribal
weirdo. We're
tribal creatures, bro. It's always gonna be tribalism no matter what.
So why you keep spreading the narrative like we all one unit here in America? We tribal over here too.
We're more
I don't get what you're saying. Like it's stupid.
That ain't what I
you know cohesive unit over here.
Yeah.
We have a shared history and identity as African Americans, right? We have a shared history and identity as African Americans. That's a cohesive group.
We got the same thing with Africans.
Bro, all right.
We are descendants of Africans.
It's like
don't understand.
83% of Black Americans just voted for Kamala in the last election. I think we agree on something altogether.
Right.
That is a stat. Yeah.
That was 88% of the people who voted. Most black people didn't even vote.
And
millions of black people did not vote.
That don't change.
We talking about 88% of the people who actually decided to voted for Kamala. Not 88% of black people in general. Not 88% of the 40 million black people that are here in America.
I guarantee you the majority of us would not vote for no motherfucking Donald Trump. Most of us would have voted still for fucking Kamala.
Absolutely.
What are you saying?
Like I literally I've been literally arguing with black people on YouTube for the past 2-3 years about how much they support Donald Trump and how much that Donald Trump
YouTube is not a reflection of the real world.
Donald Trump gonna do this.
Majority of our family
he had a
members.
whole
okay, but what did the poll say? Fuck what
and the people in our
he had a
community,
whole
poll said 83%
at the church. You know what I mean? They all voted.
You just talk about if they'll vote. Like, go look up the numbers of how many black people vote.
Yo said the people on YouTube. It's crazy.
Go look up the percentage of how many black people voted. And then compare that to the 40
The
million black
ones
people. More than
crazy.
40 million black
And
people.
people on YouTube think they
I
eyeballs. We
was,
don't listen to
in
these
I was
America.
niggas.
comparing
Oh,
cultures of
shit.
I
sub-Saharan
think it was
Niggas on
only
YouTube think the
I
world fucking
think it
flat.
was only
You know what I
100
mean?
million
But
people
listen
that
to
voted
goddamn
all
YouTube
together,
people.
wasn't it? 150 million people or something like that voted all
The
together.
hell? The hell?
And that was the biggest vote. That was one of the biggest votes in history, I think.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't.
Hits, where you at?
It's very easy to Google. It wasn't.
Yeah, I think the one before that, Biden.
Hits, I need you to make sense of this
and
shit.
Trump. But even then, it was only 150 million people that voted, though.
How many people are in America?
400 and something.
Okay. So how many of that 150 million people, if you're gonna run with that number, I'll give it to you. How many of that 150 million do you think were black?
No, what I'm saying is most people didn't vote. Most Americans didn't vote.
I thought you was just okay. So you saying the same thing I'm saying then.
60% of black folks voted in the last election. It was actually the second highest one out of all the other demographics, obviously by default. But 60% is a large margin, bro.
That's the overwhelming majority.
That would be around
60%.
26, 27 million people.
Yeah, because as kids, as people who ain't even adults yet.
It wasn't about the number; it was about what we all collectively agreed on, bro. Like
Right.
even if we had our differences, we still was like, we go in this direction.
I think
Black people, we ain't giving black folks enough credit in America. We ain't proud to be African Americans here. You know what I mean? Like if we don't, if
They
we
want to be African more than they want to be African American. It's like shitting on your ancestors.
And I don't even think
But they act like we shitting on our ancestors, but they're shitting on our ancestors.
Absolutely.
That's the problem.
They didn't die for us to go love somebody else.
Go love the motherfuckers who sold
So
us.
they died for us to. They died for us.
You want to go love the motherfucker? Go hug the motherfucker that sold
they
your
died
ass.
for us to help our oppressors more than we help each
Nigga,
other.
the African was our oppressor first.
I'm just wondering. I just be wondering because I know y'all like.
You
I don't.
think they was free before
they
before they got sold to the Portuguese?
All I
You think
know
the
is
Africans free before they got sold to the Portuguese?
Ask that question one more time. I ain't hear the beginning.
You think they was free before they got sold to the Portuguese? Your ancestors?
No, no. That wouldn't make any sense.
It
would
depends.
It was on the losing side of a
It
war.
depends on the
They
situation.
were captured
It depends on
in some
the
way, shape, or
situation.
form. Yeah, in some
It
way,
depends
shape,
on
or
the- it
form,
depends
they
on
were
the
captured
particular-
eventually, and
Okay.
a lot of my people, because I'm an
Okay.
amalgamation of a lot of different West Central,
All I know is when they
South
was
Asian.
back the chance to go back, we was like, hell no, we stayed right.
I think he got my point exactly. What you just say there, C-Dot? The last thing you just said?
We're an amalgamation of a lot of different Africans because we're mixed with a lot of different Africans. I'm actually mixed with also some European. I think I'm like 6% European and 1% Native American. So
yeah, I ain't really concerned with the European part, but you say you're an
93%.
amalgamation.
Yeah, most of the Africans we mix
of Africans.
Yeah.
And most of them Africans are already
that's a
genetically
unique
related
thing
anyway
over
under the Niger Congo umbrella anyway. They are genetically closely related more so than other Africans.
Absolutely. But my point is, I almost forgot my damn point, man. It's fucked up.
Yeah,
It's
you were
so
saying
crazy.
something about you. I thought you were saying something about you asking me about.
No, you was an amalgamation. You're an amalgamation, right? And that's what I'm saying is that's a unique thing here in these Americas, right? So that's why, what we're saying is we have a African American culture. We have a different culture. We're different people now. We can recognize, we can look back and recognize and appreciate our ancestry, right? but for what's going to work for us now is not back there. We already took from there what we need.
And I don't agree. I've heard you say that already, but I don't agree with that. I don't think that you took anything that you needed from there, because the majority of the stuff that was from there was taken from you. So the small things that you have now to relate back to Africa do not count for a true cultural connection. So that's why I say I think it's important for people to actually grasp a cultural connection to the people that they come from. Whether that be
that's
us,
why.
whether that be white
That's
people,
why
white people go back to Paris and Europe and all that other stuff in order to learn more about their culture. We should be doing the same instead of saying our culture is only in America.
That's why I asked you, did you think they was free before they got sold to the Portuguese?
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand the point of that question.
So I'm saying, like, you saying that something was taken from us, right? I'm trying to figure out before you guys
our languages were taken, our spirituality was taken. Like, it's a lot of different things that were taken from Black people. I don't understand why you think like because you speaking like we immigrated here. Like we came here on our own free will.
I never said that.
We want to be Americans.
I never said that. Because I started out saying that we got sold to the Portuguese, so I wouldn't say that we migrated over here.
What issue do
I'm saying is,
why
I
do you feel
understand
like there's nothing else that you can learn
and
from
I appreciate that.
The culture you came from.
No, I appreciate that y'all keep saying the language, right? So that part I do appreciate that. Okay. We can say that was taken from
all
us.
Different type of things. Like, I don't understand what the issue is, because you're saying you have an issue. Because I'm not disputing being an African American. What I'm saying is that we should always yearn to have a cultural connection to the people that we come from, learning and respecting each other's cultures. So they should be respecting the culture that we have. We should be respecting the culture that they have. We should be learning each other's cultures and figuring out the good parts that we can take in order to better our complete culture.
And that was the question, though. What is it that we can take from Africa today and use it?
It depends on what you need.
African American.
You can't ask that question as a whole, because there are different things that we all need. So that's what I was trying to tell Chef earlier. Like, his experience.
Okay, so just give me an example of something that one would need.
That's what I'm trying to do right now. That's what I'm trying to do. His experience is not my life experience. So therefore, we are not going to approach life in the same way, in the same direction. We are not going to have the same type of people around us. We're not going to have the same characters around us. We're not going to have the same teachers, any of that type of stuff. So therefore, we are not going to be on the same page with everything that we do. And it doesn't make sense for us to say, well, culturally, we don't need to learn nothing from nobody else's culture. We need to just we just need to rock with the culture that we in, even though the majority of the people on this panel will argue that there are problems in this particular American culture that hurts Black people.
Absolutely, I would argue that.
Okay, so wouldn't it be good to maybe learn from other cultures that might be able to combat some of the problems that are in our culture, that would help us in the same way that it might be helping their culture? Wouldn't you rather learn that from another Black African than from a white man or Arab or China or Asian person?
In that respect, if I'm looking, it just depends on what I'm looking for, right? If I'm looking for something that's beneficial, right, I'm gonna take the benefits from wherever they come from.
So if you want to learn some business, you can learn how the Nigerians work, because those are great businessmen. A lot of them be scamming and all that good stuff. They know something in order to be able to do what they're doing. So that's one thing you can learn from the Nigerians.
They go to the bank and switch. They go to the bank in Switzerland.
You might learn how to make some. You know what I mean? Something that got something to do with something. I don't like whatever your particular fix.
Even they even
I
they
say
business
look to Africa
ain't
instead of
100%
Europe.
African though. They use European influences. They damn self. Like a lot of Africans even bank in damn Switzerland and shit. Like it ain't just like you act like
Sure.
they weren't colonized either.
Sure. So what does that mean? Does that mean it's still nothing good in Africa that
I'm
we
just
can
saying
learn
you ain't
from other cultures?
finna be doing
What does that
banking
mean?
like you ain't finna be handling business like the Oyo Kingdom was. Yeah, that's what the original kingdom was. It
No.
wasn't
I'm not
Nigeria. It
trying
wasn't
to
on
do
Nigeria.
nothing. I'm not trying to do nothing like nobody did back in the day. I'm trying to do shit like something new in the future. That's where you getting me twisted, because I'm not talking about historical shit. I'm trying to return to this time or none of that. Like that ain't none I be talking about got nothing to do with none of that. When I'm talking about when I say that Pan-Africanism can be practiced right here in America, except niggas so damn
them Nigerian
audacious to
men
be against
right now is taking.
Pan-Africanism, even though it would help us in every single solitary way possible in this country, financially, politically, every single way possible. Pan-Africanism helps Black people in this country. Why? Because the ideology is about unifying. And if you don't feel like unifying Black people in this country is a smart thing to do, then I don't know what we're talking about. I think you niggas is really just y'all pump faking.
Well, unification in this country is different than what we was talking about earlier, right? So I wouldn't object to having some type of unification. Like I said, I think we are in America. I think we do display some sort of unification in
how?
times.
How in these conversations that y'all have up here, like the hour before I got up on here, the conversations that I was listening to was so it's so divisive. That's what I'll call it. It was so divisive.
Well, it was pro African American. I guess you could say it was divisive. I would agree with you there.
So that's what I'm saying.
I am
What is the
pro-African
point to keep this divisive rhetoric going, regardless if you African American, whatever kind of I don't have to diss people in Africa in order for me to be African American, or for me to appreciate the people that came from my ancestors here in this country. I appreciate Martin Luther King. I appreciate W.E.B. Du Bois. I appreciate I mean, go down the list, bro. Fannie Lou Hamer. Anybody you want to name, like that. Fannie Lou Hamer is one of my favorite all-time people ever. Point blank and period. I always big up that woman, because she was one of the strongest Black women that we have a record of, outside of Harriet Tubman and maybe a couple of others. But my thing is that those people, like our ancestors, also, you know what I'm saying, like they thought process was on unifying us in some way, shape, or form. If they were equipped with a lot of the information and the things that we have today, they would have been able to take off. Fannie Lou would have been 10 times. She would have been way ahead of most of you niggas. Like real talk, or most of us. I'm sorry, I ain't gonna say y'all. I don't want to make it offensive or whatever. But if they were given the benefits that we have today in order to unify, to connect with each other in a quick way, they didn't have the internet, bruh. Black people can connect way easier than what they had to do back in the day. Yet they got more done than what we do today. Why? We don't consider none of that. We don't think about none of that. We don't think about the fact that we headed down. Like most of the rhetoric I heard today was white supremacist rhetoric. That's why I implore y'all to go study white supremacists, because then you'll have an idea. Like, oh shit,
give me an example of some of the rhetoric.
Oh shit, I said that. Oh wow, I've said that before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Give me an example of something you heard today that was maybe along the lines of
the anti-African rhetoric. Like if you go and listen to the anti-immigration or anti-immigrant rhetoric, you'll notice that a lot of what y'all say and how y'all say it is out their book.
No, I'm not anti-immigrant. I never said anything about Africans immigrating to America or anything like that. I'm not anti-immigrant.
Right. No, I'm not, and I'm not particularly just talking about you. I'm just saying the conversation that was being had earlier was
think I heard
really an
any
anti-African stance, and everything that was talked about was on an anti-African base. It wasn't also like, oh, it's just about like it was really just about, yeah, we need to accept being African American, we need to assimilate and da 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 da. And I'm like, why are we talking about assimilation? Like, we should be the first thing we should be talking about right now is assimilation. In my opinion, assimilation is the worst thing that possibly happened for Black people. We've already assimilated the majority of us right now are already pretty much assimilated. Like I said, the language, the religions, the way we think, all of that is all Americanized already. So why do we need to go further in that direction?
Can you tell me
and push away African culture?
African.
Well, after the system, I ask you a question. See that.
Yeah,
but part of being Americanized ain't totally European. Like we was here too. Like we, was at the forefront of the fabrication of the damn country in the first place. So being Americanized have an element of our shit in you.
Well, I think that people, sometimes you got to be careful of just saying stuff, and there's no basis for it. So can you tell me what was said today that was anti-African?
Well, sis, one of the comments came from you, which is what I already spoke on as far as the assimilation, because I heard you saying that we should be further assimilating and pushing out all of that African.
Why is that
in general?
why is that anti-American if I'm saying that it's a natural
No, I didn't
thing?
I didn't say anti-American, love. I said it's anti-African.
Why is it anti-African if I'm saying that it is natural for people, when they have been living around people for 400 years or however many years, to have some amount of assimilation? What is anti-African about that?
The fact that you were saying that we needed to push away from African culture, that is what's anti-African.
So
and you were
hold
saying
on.
we need to lean further into assimilation.
I tried to explain to you earlier that you missed a whole part of the conversation where we were talking about how I don't think we can never not hold on to certain things that are African in our African American culture. So I think that you may on the end of the conversation and not fully everything else, because I heard that here today. I have heard some anti-African things before, but I haven't heard any of that today where people would be saying anything anti-African. Assimilating is not anti-African. Now, I think we have to, that's your opinion. So we got to think about that too. Your
definition
or opinion. Can you show me? Can you please
American
tell me?
assimilation, you think is pro-African or is it anti-African?
No, you to go back.
C-Dot, can you let her finish what she's saying, bro?
You said that's the definition. So I want you to tell me, where is it at on this globe where it says that assimilation is a bad thing? I want you to tell me that. You said that that's the definition.
Am I allowed to speak, man?
Can you pull it up?
But I just asked you, is assimilation pro-African or pro-American?
Is just assimilation. Doesn't matter where you are. It's assimilation is just that. Let me pull up the definition for you, because it's not pro or anything. You could be assimilating anywhere. You could be. I'm not understanding how you're finding that the word is problematic when it's a natural process that happens. So let me get the definition here of assimilation.
Because we're so used to contemplating and studying all the effects of assimilation.
I literally,
I don't think that people. I think that it's something that is unavoidable, just based on how humans communicate. Because if I go, if I go to, like, I guess if I go to another state, to some degree, I gotta assimilate as the minority, right? Like,
well, yeah, I said that earlier, that it's a natural thing, especially if you think about in this country, it's a country of different people. people leave their places, or in our cases, was kidnapped and then enslaved. When you get here and you're living around other people, yes, you are going to have some assimilation.
Okay. And I've explained that I heard that part that
So
you
how is
actually
that
picked. But what I'm telling you, can I finish this? Can I finish? Just let me finish. I hushed while you was talking, and you asked me for a definition. So I went and actually got an AI overview of what does assimilation mean in U.S. history. And in U.S. history, assimilation is the process by which minority groups, especially immigrants and Native Americans, adopt the cultural practices and norms of the dominant American society, often involving a loss of their original cultural identity, language, and traditions. While often seen as a voluntary effort by immigrants to achieve social and economic success, it also encompasses forced policies, particularly against Native Americans, through boarding schools and land policies aimed at making them conform to a unified national identity. So when I speak of assimilation, when I speak of American assimilation, especially from the words that y'all were speaking earlier, when you were saying to assimilate into American society further and push away from all of that African stuff, which is what y'all were saying. So I don't know why, like, the words that I'm saying now is so weird, because this is what y'all were saying. And I was saying that assimilation for Black people in this country is not the right direction. We should be culturally moving to actually knowing the things that we came from that were stripped from us. It wasn't an automatic. It wasn't like I just read about immigrant groups that come over here and voluntarily switch to the norms of the dominant society. Ours were stripped. It was taken away from us. We were beaten into submission and into assimilation.
Right.
So that's the difference in what I'm talking about, as far as saying the rhetoric that you're saying is literally saying that we need to adopt everything about America and being Americanized, which is white supremacist propaganda, because that's the dominant culture.
No, it's
The
the
dominant
same with the
culture
African
and
stuff,
white
like the parts
supremacy
we can
is saying the
use.
same thing.
And
Some of what we can.
so I asked you earlier, because this still isn't making any sense. I asked you earlier, what do you see us doing? How would you envision us living now in this country? What if you could just paint the picture? What would we look like here in this country?
Okay. A part of Pan-Africanism is learning other African cultures, other Black African cultures, and figuring out if maybe something in that culture can benefit yours. Okay. So understanding that there are many different cultures within Black African, in that Black African connection. There's not one place. You don't even have to just go to the continent. I can get, like I explained earlier, I could go to Stupid and get, you know what I'm saying, valuable information, cultural information that could possibly help me in what I do. Maybe that could be something as simple as something dietary. There are several things that could benefit us from having a cultural connection to other Black people around the world.
So I asked you earlier, what makes you think that people have not been doing that here?
I never said that people have not. I'm going against what you said about getting away from African culture and only focusing on assimilating into American culture. That's what my entire commentary has been about.
I told you before, and I think we've been saying this, we have our own way of living here in America. I'm not sure if you're getting that.
Nobody's disputing that, sis. I literally am not disputing that we are a different culture here. I don't know how easier to explain this to you. Like, I broke it down for you. We are all different cultures. There's different cultures on this thing right now.
Yeah. So what do you understand that our culture here is from what we've had from the past? Do you understand that? We was talking earlier about our grandmothers and stuff and things that our grandmothers has told us and things like that from the past. Did you hear anybody talking about that? That's why I keep saying I think you're missing some of the conversation.
Right.
And
That's why I came in and said, right. That's why I actually came in and said, making it the way it's kind of being said, even on y'all side, it's like y'all not acknowledging that there was a disruption at all, right? As if it was like this seamless. We was able to go from shackles and no language to like right to having no negative effects of what happened to it.
No, I think that's a misunderstanding that you guys are having. We've been talking about being stolen, being slaves, being on the boats. We've been talking about that. I think sometimes people are hearing what they want to hear, or they're talking past one another. We've been talking about how we got over here is we were kidnapped and then enslaved. So of course we have lost everything. So I don't understand what is going on here.
Right. So that's why I'm saying that it's important for us to actually gravitate towards learning more about our cultural connections to Africa and other Africans.
We do that.
That's why it's important for us not to assimilate, not to go closer to assimilation to America. It should be closer to actually getting the cultural things that were stripped away from us, that were stripped away from our ancestors here in America.
I don't agree with that. I think that we should be learning our past and applying it today where we are. That is it. We are here in this country.
Is Africa not a part of our past, sis?
Well, the last time I checked my report that's what we talked about earlier, is the importance of learning your past.
So,
we talked about that.
Right. So if it was stripped from us, because I just gave you the difference between an immigrant that comes here and either voluntarily strips away their own culture and adopts and assimilates to the dominant society's culture, and I gave you the difference between that and actually saying, okay, because that's on one side, that's on the left. Now we're gonna talk about the right. What's on the right is the connection, regathering the connection that was stripped away from us initially, which could benefit us because then we could know more about ourselves, because our past does not start at slavery. We come from a certain people. So like I said, something as simple as dietary would be a great thing for us to know as Black people who were stripped of all of our culture, dietary, the way we eat, the way we do everything was stripped away from us. So wouldn't it make sense if we knew that there was something on the continent where certain cultures weren't stripped away, certain ideals weren't stripped away?
Wouldn't it be good to go back there and learn a lot of our cuisine comes straight out of Africa, yo? Like, you never seen How in the Hog?
We talked about this earlier, so I'm still confused. We talked about this and the importance of knowing our history and all of that stuff. We talked about this earlier. That's why I'm trying to understand where is the anti-African claims that you're talking about, because everything that you're saying, we already talked about this.
I get in after the sister man. I've been waiting. Hello?
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. The two things we want to say. It's funny because y'all keep using like Paris and the German and the French and them, and I don't know why y'all keep doing that when those are hybrid cultures. Like those are literally Vandals and people that the Latin people enslaved, Rome enslaved. They fought back when Rome fell, but they kept Rome. They used Rome as they called Creole language for springboard culture.
Who said any of that?
This is what happened. And then you guys keep like calling these people's name like these are some classical white breed cultures when the French are new in relative history.
Ain't nobody saying that. None of that.
People on earth. They're new and they're a product of creolization from a Latin and Romanized word. And the same with the Spanish, the Portuguese, the whole of them man over there. That's why they love Rome so much. So you're in a situation like that now, where you got a bunch of languages being created off of whatever this English empire and all of this colonization and this and that. That's what people do. because those Gallic people didn't have no script. These people didn't have no script. Even when the scientists and the anthropologists and the people that do ethnographies go study them, they write in the language of the modern people. Half the time they're reading the language of exonyms that was given to them. And then they're reading the sources of the people that was part of those people that learned the outside language for write about their own people. So I don't know why black people is not afforded this same thing, but y'all want to credit these romantic people so much. And then the next thing I want to see that this specifically. Because sometimes I get confused. I really get confused, right? Because I come from a culture where we use calabash, right? We do a whole lot of African thing. Like we grow up doing African thing. We eat off the land. We know fruit and vegetables. And the same thing there in the United States, you know. All them people that lived in the dismal swamp, all them maroon people, all them people ate out of calabash. All them people work roots. All them people, that stuff is still part of America, right? So there's certain things that couldn't be stripped from we. They're still thereabouts. That if you want to research, you can go find out about it. But I want to really see that. Like, what can I take from people who already lost? Like, all of those people prior to the Arab invasion, whatever they was doing didn't work because they lost. I don't give a fuck if you had a gold Aint. It didn't defeat the Greek. It didn't kick Ptolemy out. So why would I want to Aint? I know that that's just some symbolic shit. I know when I go back and deal with Africa is symbolic. It's got to be symbolic because they already lost. And I want to know what can I go take from when I know that the end of this, whatever this culture was doing, it ended up some Arab or some white folk or some next African and this shit no here no more. And it lost. So the things that were significant is all that was preserved. And I love that. I love the fact I got African rhythm. I love the fact that I got certain perspective. I love the fact that I know how to grow food and calabash and I know how to work roots and then something there. I love that. Can't go back and live like no tribal people and them something there. Them that have nothing to teach me because the whole of that shit lasts.
Well, I think you let me help. Hold on, wait. Let me help you out. Let me help you out, Buddha, because you going in a direction that I wasn't in. I didn't mention nothing about the past. Like you going all the way back in history. Like I mentioned present. Like I'm talking about how we can benefit each other presently. I'm not talking about looking at shit from the 1500s or BC time. Like I ain't talking about unks or none of that. What I don't know where that came from, but the examples I used was actually present day things that we could learn from other Africans culturally. Whether that could even be dealing with education, how they raise, how the family is raised, and how they able to keep their kids, you know what I'm saying, in school long enough to want to go to college and be doctors and all that other good stuff. Like it's a lot of different things culturally that we can learn from each other, and it's not just about Africans, as I said. There are things that we could also learn from Jamaicans, Islanders in general, the Cubans, the Brazilians. Like there's several different things that we can learn from each other as a people culturally that will benefit us. So I don't know where you got, you know what I'm saying, what you saying from, because I wasn't talking about like we need to look at Africa as a way to fight people.
European contact. Okay, yes, we can exchange ideas how to fight the European, all right? But prior to that,
you're talking about fighting though. I'm not just talking about fighting. I'm talking about in general. That's why I mentioned cultural, because it's more than just one aspect.
Same way the novelty to know about the Scythian, and part it's a novelty to know about ancient African history, because them niggas lost.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you talking about strictly on a fighting level, like that. A lot of people don't learn that a lot of people don't learn Egyptian history. At least I didn't. I didn't go into learning Egyptian history because I wanted to figure out how to beat the white man. Like that's not the purpose.
It's a novelty. It's a great novelty study. Just great.
But that's what I'm saying. And that's cool. That can be your opinion. But for some other people, like I said, it could have brought them into. For me, it brought me into another space of appreciating Black culture. So that's all it did for me. It didn't take me into, oh, well, now I know King Tut did this. I'm finna go in. Like, no, like I don't live in that fantasy world that I don't know who y'all be talking to when it comes to Pan-Africanism, because I've never been a Egyptomaniac or none of that type of shit. I've never came with that type of philosophy. The people I bring to the table when I talk about Pan-Africanism are usually people who are revolutionary or what was the word they used the other day? Not freedom, but I can't think of the word right now. But anyway, they're more present than prehistoric. You know what I'm saying, or historic. You know what I'm saying. A lot of the people that I talk about when I talk about Kwame Nkrumah or Kwame Ture or my brother in South Africa right now. Like it's a lot of different people. PLO Lumumba, Patrice Lumumba. Like a lot of these people aren't like these ain't super duper historic people, and the reasons I bring them up is because of that connection that they have with unifying the people. Like Kwame Nkrumah was actually able to unify people. You know what I'm saying? Like regardless of the tactics or whatever niggas want to talk about, they was able to unify people and basically get a push to pushing away European influence. So like I don't get why we feel like these are things that we shouldn't care about or we shouldn't know about, because they could help in the shit that we trying to do here. You know what I'm saying? Figuring out how to unify people, how to get people together on a collective stance. I brought up the word propaganda the other day. I think you was here when I was talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And how it could benefit Black people. We got to start doing things that actually benefit us. I don't just say we only need to look at us, especially when it comes to fighting. Shit, I say look at the Jews when it comes to fighting. I say look at Israel when it comes to fighting. I say look at China when it comes to fighting. I say you can look at America when it comes to fighting. If you want to get examples of how to do shit, you know what I'm saying, either in a brutal way or, you know what I mean, excuse me, either in a brutal way or in a propaganda, you know, ideology type of way. Like it's different ways that you can actually approach a problem and come to a good solution. So we should be looking at all different cultures as far as as far as fighting go. But I'm talking about unification, and I'm talking about getting how people can get together and push our shit forward. That's it. That's what Pan-Africanism is about. It's not about none of the other old weird shit. I don't know who y'all be talking to. I have no clue. But like I said, go to Julius Malema. Julius Malema, another Pan-Africanist. Like I study those people. You know what I'm saying? What they talk, those are the people I listen to and say, okay, well, these are my elders. You know what I'm saying? In Pan-Africanism. I look at Ibrahim Traore as one of my peers because we're around the same age. I mean, well, I'm a little older than him actually. So, you know what I'm saying? Like we brothers in the same struggle with the same ideology. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And I view those people as something that could benefit Black people if you want to look at how to win or how to push forward with Black people. It's that simple.
No, I think say we all study them people that's so. That them people coming out of modern times with the struggle thing, right?
Right.
No lie about that, right? A modern time them coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's my point. Those are the ones that I truly like. Don't get me wrong. I study W.E. Du Bois and a bunch of our other elders who passed and all that type of stuff. But I'm really looking at what's going on right now. Like who can I really who can I listen to that's making sense for what I can do?
What was stripped from you though?
Say that one more time.
I said that's not part of the stuff that was stripped from Una though. That wasn't stripped from you.
As far as African culture?
It's accessible to you. That's part of the whole liberation movement coming out of the 50s and the 30s and 40s in them era there.
That was the word I was looking for too.
Resisting colonialism and inspired by all the colonial this and that. And all that's accessible to Uno. That wasn't stripped from you. That's not African culture that was from you. African culture that was stripped from you is the culture.
Exactly.
and pre-European contact.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
right.
You what and all that I gonna help you. Because you can't find that unless you go to the ethnographers and you go to certain researchers. Because that's not even like those people no more. Because those people are colonized people. And they fight in a modern time. You have to go out the bush people them. With right.
Why you
when you go out the bush people them doing all type of fuckery. Them not over there living off the land with, and they got one little bush that you need to find out. Them people doing all type of fuckery, and you know what that. You know what say that if you went amongst them tribal people, you'd be like, yo, sir. I didn't think them in a used to. Like the man them have to, the hygiene, something wrong, something right with that. Yeah, I can't believe the man them going at them pool there so to do them certain there. And that the watering hole, bumbo clot. You not gonna go there and have this benign shit for some tribal people, man. Come on, man. This is what I get to talking about when we start romanticizing the shit.
You the one saying this weird shit. I ain't saying nothing that you just said right now. You're romanticizing all of that shit you just said. I didn't romanticize nothing at all whatsoever. Not one thing that I said was something that's unpractical.
To know about most of that you're gonna get from white ethnographs and cultural studies and shit like that. The people that's even from them cultures not even gonna be telling you that. You're gonna read the shit in French,
telling me
English,
what? Telling me what?
Shit. Come on, man.
They're not gonna be telling me what. What are you talking about right now, Buddha?
And you go study that shit without even being biased by this side of the world. Like you're not gonna go look at that objectively and just interact with that and bring some out of that that's beneficial. No.
Bring some out of what that's beneficial? Out of African cultures?
It didn't work. It didn't defend us. It didn't.
Oh, so then you bro, I don't know. Look. I'm gonna let you, I don't know what you're talking about right now because you arguing something totally different for what I'm talking about, and I don't want the confusion to keep going in the circle if you're not.
I think what he's getting at is, I think what he's trying to say is like, if it didn't work back then, and we trying to incorporate it now, but it didn't work back then. I think that's what he's trying to say.
I ain't talking about back in no time. No, I just made that. I don't think y'all be listening, bro. Like. I really think that y'all hearing.
I heard you when you say you talking about modern Africans. You talking about getting no
so how the fuck we go from talking about
modern? I mean, that's what he said. I'm telling you what he said.
What was stripped from you.
You know what, Buddha? I gotta admit,
the
bro.
Language was stripped.
You've been changing.
The
you've been changing
was stripped. There was a lot of shit that was stripped. What the fuck are you talking about?
You
wasn't speaking no motherfucking patois and goddamn Africa, nigga. What are you talking about?
Just a little bit, bro. Just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But you definitely been like maybe missing what the spirit of the conversation is.
No, I ain't miss shit with the spirit of the
I'm talking about Buddha. I'm talking about
bullshit.
I'm talking about Buddha.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. So you so ready? You so ready to think it's me?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying you be changing, Buddha, you be changing the conversation. I don't think you be like realizing that you do it. But we'll try to like actually, have a conversation with you, and then we'll end up, way further. And I don't know how to fix that, but sometimes I'd say it definitely happens a lot.
Awesome. I have a question for you, my brother.
Sir?
Actually, it's
how
two
you
questions.
doing today, sir?
I'm good. Been busy all day working on the back end, a lot of stuff. Super pause for Brass in case he's listening. I have two questions.
Up, man.
Yeah. First question. Does America have a culture? That's first question. Or for anybody. Number two, if you say it does, are African Americans practicing that culture correctly? Does America have a culture? Number two, are African Americans practicing that culture correctly? I've been hearing a lot about what happened a long time ago, what we need to do now. We worried about other countries, this to that, the next. We should be, we shouldn't be. We should be focusing on this, that, the next. But since we're in America, does America have a culture? And if it does, are we practicing it correctly? And you already know in reference to us being on the bottom of a lot of So, are we doing it correctly? Go ahead.
Anybody?
I'm gonna jump in. I just got 2 minutes. I'm my run, and then so I'll
The
go right
teacher's
after you,
back.
Roger. I'm not
No,
the
you got
teacher.
good.
I'm just a black man that read 1 or 2 books. That's it.
That read some
Yes, I
books.
did. You can go right ahead, Mr. Bujasi.
I just need 2 more minutes, so go ahead, Logic. I'll return right after you.
Okay. Oh, dang! I thought I got out of answering the question first.
Or whoever.
Are we practicing it correctly? And does America have a culture? So America has a culture clearly, and I do think that they have intentions of, of taking advantage of us being in poverty. Absolutely. So, I guess, are you saying, are things going according to plan?
Well,
I
I
think
think
so.
a lot of our conversation is about how do we better our situation, right? So we talked enough, I think, about Africa. Even people mentioned Africans. We talked about grandparents, the old way of doing stuff. Should we be focusing on that? Leave whatever behind that didn't work. Why harp on it? Why romanticize it? All these words I heard throughout the day. So I'm just trying to bring it like fast forward again to like right now. If there's a culture here,
my
are we
simple
doing
answer.
what are we doing wrong, or are we doing American culture right? Because we're in America. We're not obviously in Africa. We're African Americans. I'm just
Then,
taking that stance. I know
if
some
that's your
people think we're
context,
Africans,
well,
but
absolutely not. African American, a part of African American culture is resisting American culture, right? It means just as some of it is, being a part of it, right? He mentioned the Christian church, like, and that not necessarily coming directly from Africa. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's necessarily that easy. But at first I thought you was asking it in a different way, but that makes the question a lot easier to answer for me, to be honest with you. No, we're not practicing American culture correctly at all.
I disagree. I believe we are practicing American culture to the T. As I stated in the group chat, in YouTube, the United States is a large country comprised of 50 other countries. You know what I'm saying? So yes, there's going to be nuance in culture. The culture in Atlanta is not the same as the culture in New York for whites and black. I think that diversity is what makes us American. Yes, we're if we're a country of immigrants. I'm not an immigrant, but I do think that we do everything that Americans do. We go to church, we go to work, we have barbecues. We do everything that Americans do, as well as, and I'm not denying my African side as well. Of course, the way we speak.
The way we wear our hair, our music, like a lot of that's in rebellion to American spirit also.
Right. But
it's twofold. It's not just one thing, is what I'm saying. So
right,
practicing it correctly, right? Using a white person who's sea bass, right, out there in the woods, like using him as a archetype for the perfect American, right? We of course no, we don't do that. We don't do that. That's not our representation of America. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely we have our music. I'm trying to say it all at the same goddamn time, but like way we talk, our music, even the way we do church, right? Like it's still our own way of doing it. It's not just one thing.
Okay, maybe this will help narrow it down a little bit.
We go to church and do our church.
How about the beneficial aspects of American culture? Are we doing that right? Like what the things in American culture that benefit Americans, whether individual or as a group, are we doing those things right?
Before the next question, may I comment on the last one?
No, it's the same question.
You mean
just
like
narrow it down a little bit.
You mean like lobbying for politics and stuff like that?
I mean, Right. No, it's the same question. It's just a little bit more pointy, like the beneficial aspects, whatever you consider beneficial in American culture, whether it be your right to vote, whether it be, education, healthcare, whatever it be, whatever you think benefits Americans.
The reason I wanted I just want a quick response. I want to be long-winded. Let me tell you the truth. All I wanted to tell you is that I would say yes, because when you read literature, there you have distinctive things, like say you read about a Black American in France. The way it's written, there's a certain thing this man is going to be doing that distinguish him from the Caribbean American, Caribbean American, because they call them people from the Americas, Caribbean American over France. You understand? And they're going to have a dialect switch. They're going to have certain things that they're accustomed to. They're going to bring up things that are commonplace to America to associate with these characters being part of the American culture. So I would say yes, because I find it all the time in literature, because that's the only way to distinguish this character as being from the Americas in a context. So that's all I wanted to add.
And it's also
I think it's a great question
to
if you
our
actually don't even tell
position.
me what you mean by it. It's a great question. Once you tell me what you mean by it, it's not as good of a question no more.
Who? Oh, me?
You. Talking to you. It's a great question if you don't tell me what you mean. Go ahead. What? Go ahead.
No. It's in reference to our position in America, right? If America has the culture, and again, these just questions just to have people continue the conversation in the good spirit that I think a lot of us are in here for, right? Is to what are we doing wrong? How can we fix it? How can we benefit ourselves and our people, right? So what are we doing wrong? If we're partaking in American culture, let's leave the African out, let's leave all that out. If we're partaking in American culture, how is our group on the bottom? Like we're participating in the culture. Why are we on the bottom? What are we doing wrong if we're participating in American culture?
In my
It's not
opinion,
African, it's American. Go ahead. My bad. Whoever that was.
in my opinion, there is no American culture without us. So we do practice American culture. It's just we don't take advantage of the social hierarchy that exists to find ways to utilize it to benefit us. And so that's, to me, our biggest issue.
Break down social hierarchy, because I need some clarity on that.
I gotta go ahead and clarify, Mel, and I'm gonna add something to it.
This part clarify that American culture is our culture, or
no, the social hierarchy that we're not taking advantage.
Most, if not, I say the majority, and I don't have the numbers on this, but I can get that. Most, if not the majority of immigrants here that come here, the first thing that they try to do is, one is they want to make sure that their kids have good education, but the more focal point is they want to establish business here. They want to operate as an entity, a business entity. So while you do have Black people that here that are taking advantage of it, the majority of us are not. And there are benefits with a American-based business that a lot of us don't take advantage of. And a lot of us don't support other businesses in the way that they need to be supported, not just financially, but also business-wise. Forming conglomerates, working and partnering up together to corner a market. And so that's something we don't do, and we have yet to do.
Where Logic? Until Logic gets back.
Can I jump in?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I appreciate it. I'm glad. Thank you for the question, His. That was phenomenal, and I'm glad to see that the question kind of shifted us back to a space of dialogue and learning and exchange and respecting people's, own diverse dispositions, because sometimes we could come in and just be aggressive with our ideas, and we don't listen long enough to hear each other's, perspective and just kind of have a good dialogue. So the two questions that you answered, and I think Mel, I think he drove something that was really important. He said he don't believe that America has one unique culture. And I think that's spot on. That's it. And I like the metaphor sometimes when we're talking about Black folks and our culture, is that it's a tug of war. And if you think about opposing forces pulling against each other in a centripetal way, there's that centering where we're trying to define and identify what that culture is and what it looked like. But yet the two different forces operating against each other is pulling that center. And it's diverse because Black folks have a diverse range of how we've expressed what our culture looked like. And so we definitely have a culture. We definitely have a culture. And that culture has been informed by the remnants and the artifacts of our ancestral culture and those various different Africans that we formulated under us. And then it's also got fixated and restructured violently and voluntarily in this English, British, Anglo-American experiment. And so we've danced with a lot of that pieces and had to accept that we exist in this kind of polarity of these multiculturals that we're trying to, define and figure out what's ours. And we've been influenced by other cultures. There's this debate right now that a few people is having where people are trying to pull tap dance from the African dance patterns and stuff, and trying to debate whether or not tap dance is African or if we just took that from the Dutch, and there's a conversation to be had in that. And so I think, of course, we have a culture, all the way from the way we reverence our families and reunions to our music to our language and like Orlando said earlier, our speech patterns. All of that are different various forms of expressive culture that makes us unique. Now, do we practice it correctly? I don't know if I'm not qualified to answer that because I don't know if it's
American Mujasi, not African. I'm talking about American culture.
Right. Do we practice American culture correctly? Yeah, that's what I'm answering.
So hold on. To your first point, you're saying we are practicing American culture, right? Just a little different, maybe like someone else said earlier.
Yeah,
I'm saying that we have a culture. I'm answering your first question. Yeah, I'm answering your first question. I'm saying we do have a culture. I would disagree with anybody who try to say that we don't have a culture over here. That's why I get mad and I'm complicated by some of our continental brothers and sisters who try to slam us and say we don't have no culture. Like you don't know nothing if you think that Black folks over here, these African descendants over here, don't have culture. Now, in terms of are we correctly practicing American culture? I guess I'm not qualified to answer that because, like Mel said, it's hard to substantiate what an American culture is because it's a conglomerate of a few different things that's been heavily dominated by a certain aspect of a European culture. And it's forced in violent ways groups of people to assimilate to cultural beliefs and patterns and mores that are really alien to us. And so do we practice it correctly? I don't know, because like Logic said earlier, a lot of our culture is rooted in resistance and resilience. And I'll land there.
Yeah, I do want to answer that. So you brought up a great point, and that was kind of what I was alluding to in the beginning. The thing is the entire world knows of our culture. They imitate it, they mimic it as much as possible. The only thing is we haven't set the guidelines as to what that represents, as to what that looks like. So we get offended every time we see someone from another country imitate our culture. So that's just something we have yet to set, the guidelines and what it is to practice will be a part of our culture. When you go to other cultures, like Asian cultures, for example, they have certain guidelines and certain requirements. You got to be a part of the dynasty. You got to be a part of the bloodline. Like you got to be a part of the family. There's requirements in order to practice their culture. Otherwise, it's deemed offensive to them.
Hey, can I pose a question?
Sure.
What is success? We're saying that what we're practicing, right? What does success look like for us that we're looking for? Since we are doing so bad and when it's not doing well, what does success look like for
As
us?
a whole, or just individually?
Huh?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was saying about American culture, right? If the beneficial aspects of American culture, I think Mel brought up, say, education and business. Just if you use them too, and if we're practicing American cultures, African Americans, we're a part of the culture.
Yeah.
What are we doing incorrectly that we're on the bottom of so many metrics, right? If we're in America practicing American culture, what are we doing? Go ahead, bro.
So to my question, my question obviously is going to lead to my answer to your question is, when did we get our civil rights in America?
In the 60s.
The 60s.
Why are we grading I think we're being a little bit too harsh on the people that's only had their civil rights for 60 years. That's all. That's my only. I know it sounds like an excuse to everybody. It's pick yourself up by your bootstraps. But I think at some point we just got to remember it's 2025. We've had our civil rights for 60 years, barely. And most people will say we still technically don't have them after the crack era and mass incarceration. I'm not trying to offer excuses. I just want to remember that when we're having these conversations about our success in this country, just remember we've had our civil rights for 60 years.
Okay.
That's all. That's only.
And I will add to what Mel said real quick. Mel said that we have a problem when immigrants come to this country and focus on education and or business. That's just a part of this country, I would say. If you turn on the news right now, you can see there's a majority group in it.
So yeah, I wouldn't say that aspect of it is culture, but it's something I do want to respond to before I touch that. When it comes to I think I just had it at the front of my mind here. What did you say, Brass, before?
I'm gonna jump in after you, Mel.
I wanted to add something to what I was going to say to Brad's comment.
I wanted Brass to repeat what he said because I had a response for that.
Brad talking about our civil rights and he's saying he don't want to make any excuses for us, but he's elevating the idea that we just got our civil rights and we're being too hard on ourselves if we think that we'll kind of reestablish and practice this culture in America so quickly, even though we're just now arriving at a point where we have a little bit more autonomy of our own basic participation in democracy. I'm interpreting what he's saying, that's what he was going with that.
You reminded me, yes. So
y'all lost the signal.
That's a valid point because we also see others using their blueprint. We created their blueprint, and we see others, whether it's the LGBTQIA community or other communities, they follow their blueprint. But we don't take ownership of their blueprint. We don't take pride in their blueprint. We don't utilize their blueprint for our advantage. But others will, and they do.
Absolutely. And I think too that hits your question, which it got me thinking over here and spinning. And I'm gonna be quick, brother Anathema, because I'm gonna hear what you have to say too, bro. I think, and are we practicing American culture accurately? And why is it that when we reflect on our people, we're finding ourselves at the bottom matrix of everything in America? I think Well, I want to go with this and say that there's aspects of who we are that we call culture that's not really culture, but it's intergenerational pathologies that we think is culture. Give you an example. Whooping ass. As controversial as that topic is amongst us, we think it's culture to whoop ass. And even if you want to say, well, they did it in Africa and they did it in other places, how we have arrived in the practice and transmission and using whooping ass as a discipline is a pathological piece that we've ascribed to our culture. Colorism, it's a pathology. Comes from an internal script of how we've had to re-image and measure ourselves based on the standards of European ideas of beauty. That's a pathology, but we think it's culture. Womanization, how we exploit sisters for our own sexual exploitation, and I'm talking about to the brothers, how we exploit sisters to our own exploitation, how we've used sisters, prostitutes, sisters, and really objectify our sisters in emulation of dominant culture and how they do their women. I think those pathologies that exist amongst us that impact what you're asking hits, we kind of ascribe and think that's Black culture. And I argue that it's not our culture, but it's pathological habits and patterns that we're still perpetuating because we're trying to reconstitute ourselves culturally after being violently ostracized from the society. I'll land there.
That's a valid point. That's a very, very valid point. But that's why I said earlier, we haven't designated what, is ours and what isn't, and then what are the guidelines for it.
Absolutely.
So others can imitate, and we get upset that they imitate, but we haven't set the tone. So you're right. I think that's a very valid point.
Likewise, my brother. Absolutely.
And Corey said something earlier that was important, but I think if I'm going to go one step back further than what he said. Right, he was talking about the things that the elders told us what to do. You got to work harder, right? Let's just use that metric. You got to work twice as hard to get half as much, right?
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
Corey's not that old, so his grandmother is not that dated, right? So and he said coaches say that, teachers say that, right? To let's say African American kids or young people. Why would someone have to work twice as hard? See, that's the part we kind of didn't talk about. Why would now say that? Just say to a rational human being, not saying we're not. Hey, you got to work twice as hard to get half as much. The first thing they're going to say after they say "fuck you," right? You can do that now with people you paying to work. Tell them to go do something for half their pay.
Yeah.
Or do work overtime for the same hourly rate. You might get punched in the face, right? Yeah. Why would someone have to work twice as hard to get half as much?
Yeah.
And why is that okay? Why the hell is that okay?
Our ancestors that fought for us to be able to even go to school fairly and equally would be rolling in their graves now for that. So
what I'm saying is, if I said that to you, why would you have to work twice as hard to get half as much? Now, is it because you ain't shit, and when you ain't shit, you got to work twice as hard? Or no matter what you do, you're going to be labeled and looked at like you ain't shit? And I'm just I'm doing what Corey said. We gonna talk nigga talk, right? either you ain't shit, and I know you ain't shit, and I know you gonna have to work twice as hard to get half as much, or I know you are something, but you always or in your lifetime going to be looked at like you ain't shit, considered not shit, categorized as not shit. So now you have to work twice as hard. Like, absolutely. Why does someone have to work twice as hard? to me, that's in this day and age, telling a young person that you got to go out here. And if they don't go, hold on, let me Google that. Hold on, let me ask ChatGPT what the hell going on.
Can I throw a piece in there?
No, you got it. Go ahead.
So I'm glad Brass brought up McAdoo earlier, and I'm gonna throw in Andrew Billingsley. You know, as controversial as these sociologists and family scientists were in the 70s and the 80s, they talked about that. And I've been able to incorporate some of that in my lectures with my families up here, that there's a negative connotation that we're teaching our children kind of subconsciously when we say you got to work twice as hard to be half as good to make it in this world. And the euphemism arrives out of really a lot of families who were well constituted and put together in the Black labor movement in the 20s, 30s, and 40s to help prepare young people in urban environments and sometimes factory environments that in order to get and just even get a job and get employed to beat out the white competition, you have to work twice as hard just to be acknowledged and recognized in that employment opportunity. And so it was a way for us to try to break down and understand the socioeconomic climate that we were in order to try to compete against a lot of white immigrants and a lot of white labor forces just to make it. And it become like a wisdom saying for us. But at the time that we kind of created and really pushed that value and idea to our generations, it was a strengthening piece, but we didn't know that it was going to inadvertently have a negative connotation to it that can really be, that can have some esteem challenges to our young people, especially when the context is not there anymore when we're teaching them. So when we're telling our young people today that euphemism is out of the context of the families that used that euphemism in the 40s and the 50s to help them prepare for a world that was discriminatory, racist, disenfranchising, and didn't allow us to compete equally in a workforce market.
You're right. That's the same. Real quickly, I want to say this real quickly, and you got it. That's the same saying that a lot of I'm 39. My parents are like my mom's in her 60s. Things like that, 60s and 70s. For some of my parents, a lot of them still teach to this day to their children and grandchildren. You got to start from the bottom, and that's where that comes from.
Yep, absolutely.
Yo, can I comment around here? I've been
Go ahead. We couldn't hear you, man. We couldn't hear you if you were trying to say something. Go ahead, man.
Two things, because I wanted to build on the back of what Bryce was saying. But instead of euphemism, you should say idiom. It became an idiomatic expression, not a euphemistic.
I'll accept that. I definitely accept that.
And with Bryce, and at the same time, we just recently got the civil rights, right? We forget the rapidity of development, like how fast things change. And that he spoke to your point about the economy being a manufacturing economy that suited the idiom, and the idiom being out of context, but the context can still be changed because of the rapidity of change now. Like, you understand that we live in a world where 6-7 months, your phone is outdated. The technology, the development, anybody studying coding don't have no job. The computer will code itself now. So why did you waste years learning coding? Now you just like you know what I mean? You understand what I see it? Like, we living in a world where the change and the rapidity, the pace, it's so escalated. You know what I mean? It's at an exponential level. While we're still trying to find ourselves in the midst of the rapidity of change. Just look at the cell phone now. You can't kind of even imagine what it was like not to have this thing with you all the while. When you do, it seems like an ancient time.
That's now I'm going to try to connect that to something. I'm going to speak to Logic because he's one of the main, I guess, proponents, right? How do we not get outpaced, right? If you take what Mujahsi said and anathema, right? Ujasi gave us where these phrases and this attitude comes from. You're in competition. Then anathema says things are changing so quick, which any older person will tell you everything is always quick because time flies, right? But things are changing so quick. Just when you get a leg up, whoever's ahead of you is still ahead of you. So not only us as a group, eventually larger groups are going to be outpaced by things that anathema are talking about, technology. Then maybe some changes will happen. But that, to me, if you don't prevent or slow down what's in front of you, you're never going to catch it. It's moving at the same speed that you are. So the better you do, the bigger your house get. Guess what? The bigger somebody else's house got. So now your house relative to that is what? Small. But it's big to you, but compared to your bank account, the bigger your account gets, now hold on, the bigger your bank account gets, someone else got larger. Okay, why does that matter? Because say the price of something is cheap to them now, but not to you because of inflation or things like that. So how do we keep from being outpaced on a regular basis? When I say regular, it could be decades, it could be annually, whatever it is. My suggestion would be we have to understand how fast something is moving and what's moving. Why is it moving? Why is this thing still 10 paces ahead of me? Whether it be health, wealth, education, or business. I don't think it's because most people are doing something wrong. It's just we don't understand what we're up against.
Right.
Literally. Like Anathema said, how is your phone outdated after a year and a half, 2 years?
My brother Anathema,
Something
real
is
quick.
moving this thing forward. Go ahead, bro.
No, I just wanted to ask Anathema, are you an educator? I think you may have mentioned this a week ago. Are you an educator? Like you work with students?
Teach literature, composition, and rhetoric.
Say that one more time, brother.
I teach literature, composition, and rhetoric.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. So, because when you say idioms, I'm like, okay, yeah. Thank you. So, thank you for the correction earlier. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah. No, I wasn't trying to one up, man. I was just giving you the correct term because you was right, but the term was a little off.
Oh, absolutely. No, I received the correction. That's what I said. Thank you. I appreciate that, brother.
I got my respect. I never want nobody to think, say me, I'm a literature major, so when I hear little things, you understand, I want to always act like my teaching just kick in.
Absolutely,
so
bro. No. You're no forgiving me. That's what I said. Thank you for that correction. I welcome that. I appreciate that.
And I hear things. I just jump in like, no, man, you can't see that. That's kind of wrong. You understand? Like we gotta margin, fix up the perspective. Like when I jumped in, I kept saying, y'all keep talking about these cultures like they classical cultures when they're Creole cultures themselves. But from the classical period, you understand? And they went through a process to develop who they became. And we going to the same town. That was my point. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like when I hear certain little nuances of the language, I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on, let me jump in real quick and try and add something for that.